You're indeed a psycho dog. Oh my god. Got ourselves a psycho dog. Okay. There, get myself in view. Boop. There we go. Man, oh man. Hey, look at you. Just staring me down like you want some, huh? Just staring me down. Is that how it is? Fucking dog. Silly little doge. Silly little pupper. Oops. There we go. I feel like something is pinching me here. But yeah, there's nothing. Boo. That's annoying. Okay. Alright, get some background music out. It's a little something, something. I like how Kyle has a video called Kyle's Plan to Avoid Nuclear War. Like, what are you gonna do, Kyle Kalinske? Take your soccer mom van and head off into the mountains? Is that what our soccer moms are gonna be doing? Here, what else? It's just his plan specifically to avoid nuclear war. I love it. Like Kyle's gonna be able to get out of any nuclear war. Like, I don't necessarily see like a nuclear war though, leading up to like every single nuke just launches immediately. It's gonna be very, very slowly but surely kind of built up if it were to be something like that. Like a strike here, tiny little strike there, maybe occasional, like, you know, multi-strike, you know, over here. It wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, it all goes off. Not necessarily. Not at this point. There's a little bit too much at stake, even for the people that are a little TFG. But because of that, though, you pretty much aren't going to be able to escape that shit. Like, the only way you're going to be able to is if you're in the fucking mountains. Like, and even then. I mean, you're just hedging your bets. It's like, well, the mountains, lots of, well, mountains. Thus, you know, less wind and less, you know, like, fucking wind patterns and shit. Because it all gets cut off and has to be blocked by a lot of mountains. So if any radiation's flying, you know, like floating overhead, it's mostly going to be on the edges of the mountains and the valleys more so than the actual mountains themselves. not like the mountains won't get affected either with radiation and shit, because they most certainly will, but in a way it helps disrupt it from spreading around too much. So, mountains are better. When nuclear war hits, like places like Ukiah, California, are really good spots. Jim Jones knew that. Like, he actually set up his People's Temple cult in Ukiah, California. Mainly because of that. Because it's like, if a nuclear war, sets off, I shall have my people's flock, out in Ukiah. Or Jonestown. Later down the line. But before Jonestown, it was, he had that set up in Ukiah, California, just mainly because of all the whole nuclear war shit. So... bump. What's up, little boy? You just a silly doge. You just a handsome, silly little doge. Oh, it's just so adorable. Why must he just be a cute thing? Why you so sweet? Me. In a situation where I could barely reach you. Oh. He's just a good boy. He might be a little bit of a terrorist, but, I don't know. He's a sweet boy. He's always eyeballing something. You're eyeballing something right now. Oh, yep, I see it. It's a fly. Go after it. Go get it. Take that fly down, bro. Attaboy. Go get it. Go get the fly. Totally forgot to put up a little bit of tunage. Oops. Your hair. Let's get this going. Let's get a little of that. Here we go. Make sure it's not too loud. Sweet. And there's some stuff to check out for today. Actually, I know it's a couple things I want to talk about. Once things get rolling and YouTube sends notifications out. Because it is seriously a cunt, isn't it? Thanks, YouTube. Hold on, this. There we go. What you doing? Goofy dog. Wanna be up here? No? Well, fine. Be that way too, jerk. We have defeated Big Rock. Oh, Dart mission was a success. Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, do you need some water? Hold on. There you go. Alright, there we go. There's the water for you, buddy. Yeah, looks like that whole Dart mission, though, that NASA was doing ended up being a success. That's fucking dope. So we have the power to move asteroids. Excellent. So now we don't have to worry as much about if asteroids, you know, that could be Earth-ending, you know, I guess, in a way. It's like, alright, some asteroids out there. Some of them mean harm. And we have an ability to tell them to fuck off. That's some good shit. I like that. Some optimism. Yay! And also, you just know that, like, so many of these NASA geezers all just really, really want to ram a satellite into an asteroid. Like, you know, ever since it's starting in NASA, and ever since we had shit in space, you know, there's been motherfuckers like, I want to ram this into something. Can we ram this on the moon? Can we ram this in an asteroid? It's like, if we're done using it, can we just go cream it into an asteroid somewhere? I mean, I'd definitely be that guy. It's like, if we're done with this, can we go, like, alter its course so it just creams right into an asteroid? But, hey, they got their chance. So, that's some cool shit. Well, they got their chance a while ago. There we go. The anti-vax movement is killing Republicans, study confirms. I don't think there needed to be a study for that. I'm pretty sure that was not needed a study for that. Because considering that, like, a very large, predominant amount of these motherfuckers that are, like, hyper anti-vax and shit tend to be far right and just right-wing as fuck. And very predominantly Republican, yeah. See what's going on in human support. Well, I guess this is just one video so far. The anti-vax movement. Slowly but surely dying off because of their own fucking movement. That's a very Aleister Crowler moment for me. Where it's like, yep, I'm supposed to have empathy for that fellow man. Like, I'm, like, when they literally did that to themselves in every way, step of, you know, like in every step in every way. Nah, I don't think so. Like, that, I think that fellow man need not have the empathy, frankly, just because it's like, like, if you're just so hell-bent on not believing in, like, the consensus of science and shit, and are willing to literally just, like, die because of a fucking virus and shit because of it, you don't deserve any empathy or sympathy or anything. In fact, you deserve my mockery. Because that's just immensely dumb. Oh shit, Ben Shapiro called out Candace Owens? He called out a fellow colleague? Oh, it's over the fucking Kanye West being a fucking anti-Semitic Nazi fuck. Well, Candace Owens just tends to be far more defensive of Kanye in comparison to Ben Shapiro. And also, it makes sense because Ben Shapiro's a fucking Jew. So he's obviously gonna defend his people and defend his fucking group when it comes to that. It's like Kanye West was an anti-Semite. Yeah. And there are merits of agreement and disagreement and having a back and forth, but this is not it. It's like, no shit, yeah, you know what, okay, I see what's going on there. Ben Shapiro's butthurt because Kanye West is starting to become like one of those like anti-Semitic black Israelite Nazi types. And fucking Candace Owens is defending him over it. And Ben Shapiro's butthurt because he's slowly becoming that. Well, not really butthurt because of that, more butthurt that Candace is defending it. So, all in all, not surprised at all. What's this that got notified on Reddit? 2 Portland area men are charged with making and selling fentanyl pills. Well, good. I hope they get put in prison for a while. Fuck them. Like, I'm not an advocate of a drug war and shit, but, I mean, when it comes to fentanyl, like, I'm kind of making an exception for that right now. Well, at least when it comes to the immediate damage of it. At least until fucking, legislators and fucking politicians, which, by the way, is never gonna fucking happen, actually address the problem. Which they're not going to. They're just gonna keep putting money to try to continue it being criminalized, which, yeah, at least in this way it should. But, you know, there's kind of a core reason as to why this is happening. It's because of the fucking drug war. And until that is addressed, this is going to continue to be a problem. And, well, and even though, despite that, these, people like this who do make and produce this shit and are selling it and killing people with it, like, yeah, no, fuck them. Like, I mean, it's like, oh, but they gotta make their buck too, just like any dealer, but, like, to me, this is a little bit of a exceptional minority case of, like, this shit literally will kill you with a drop. Less than a drop. So, it's like, it ain't your just typical heroin or your typical fucking opioid and shit. Like, the shit is literally, like, full, flat, deadly. Unless you're a staunch, strong, avid heroin user and shit, and then switch over to that. That's the only way you can really get away with, like, surviving for that shit. Is if you're already fucking hooked, and been hooked. But there's just been a lot of fucking people, especially as of lately, who try it for the first time or don't realize that they're taking it and fucking die from it. So it's like, this is really becoming more of a fervent problem where there is actual, like, criminal shit happening with it, outside of just some dude making a buck selling it to somebody. Which is why, at least for me, airwood weed and all that other shit is different compared to the Fed. So I'm glad those 2 fucking Portland shitbags were fucking caught. Don't need those people continuously making my town and city worse. Because it's already bad as it is. especially considering with our policy of decriminalization not going nowhere near far enough because the investment and the money needed to go into a lot of the programs to help deal with a lot of the drug issues in this state, which Measure 110, the decriminalization bill, was meant to address, basically had pretty much like one too many loopholes in it, essentially, to where it got fucked. So, while great legislation, essentially, it's just nothing's being done with it. So, people get fucked. And the situation gets worse, and thus people end up getting more like law and order type and get more likely to either vote for like a corporate Democrat type who's like about law and order, like a Ted Wheeler shitbag who does fuck all, or, you know, like a Republican type. Which luckily the Republicans, you know, running in Portland are a bunch of idiots, because Rene Gonzalez, one of them, is basically has doubled down on openly doing I think misuse of like campaign funds and shit like that. So basically just doing fraud and campaign violations, and it's somehow still thinking he's gonna like run and win or something. It's like, one, you're in fucking Portland, and two, you're caught doing bullshit and a bunch of like borderline criminal stuff. Like, I don't think you're going anywhere, bro. Might as well just drop out and just, you know, concede the seat. But no. Because, you know, especially if Republicans, they don't like to be known as criminals, so they never fucking, you know, own up to any crimes they actually do. Because, well, they tend to be a bunch of criminal gangsters anyway. So, I mean, color me shocked. Doc of the fucking Portland Husky. Hey, notification, like 20 minutes in, and I'm guessing like the first batch of notifications finally got out or something. Fuck. Thanks, YouTube. Cool. Thanks. That's great, YouTube. Nice. Get this little Reddit thing like, what else is on the Portland subreddit? Assuming there has to be something going on for today. It is a Friday after all. A very strange apple-like fruit found on my bike ride. What in the fuck type of fruit is this? This is a mutant fruit. That's a mutant. Like, that fruit definitely is a mutant fruit. Like, that definitely had some mutations in it when it developed as a fruit. Ugh. Whoa. Parts of Oregon have the smokiest air in the nation as state issues air quality advisory that includes Portland. Ugh. I hate this country. A mutt fruit. Yeah, it's like a mutt fruit, dude. Or mute fruit. But, well, color me shocked. I mean, yesterday especially was really bad. Like, the moon for at least, like, a good, like, 2 to 3 hours when it popped up was, like, orange. It eventually became nice and white by, like, the end of the night, once it was around, like, midnight 1, 2, or whatever. But, yeah, air quality out here has been really shit. Whoa. Republicans pour sounding money into races for Oregon legislator hoping to flip the state Senate to GOP in the first time in 20 years. Jesus Christ. They really want to fucking, like, try to fuck over shit here in Oregon. So it's like, looks like I Mom managed to convince my stepdad to move out west to northern Arizona. So he's gonna join in along with you. MAGA Oregon. I mean, I honestly, I feel like there's some fear-mongering with this a little bit. I think a lot of it's because of the governor race. Because, honestly, like, abortion is protected under the Oregon Constitution. So, like, I mean, if the GOP thinks that they're going to be able to just, like, overturn women's rights here and, like, with abortion in Oregon, they got another thing coming. Because they can't just do that. Like, it has to be voted in by the people via a vote. And that's just not going to happen. Like, there's no way in hell people are just going to vote against that. It'd be like Kansas. Or it's like people will vote to keep it in. Like, it's just not going to happen. In fact, it would be even more overwhelming than Kansas. Because Kansas is conservative. Oregon isn't nowhere near as conservative. Like, rural areas, like Eastern Oregon, Southern Oregon, oh yeah, definitely. But, like, the Valley and the coast, nowhere near as conservative. And even the conservative parts of Oregon aren't like extremely hyper-conservative, but there are very big pockets of very racist, far-right, conservatism in Oregon. But at least, county by county or district by district, it's not as staunchly conservative in comparison to like the rest of this, in like other states like Idaho or Arkansas or Texas or some shit. You know what I mean? I mean, Oregon's got a lot of staunch far-right conservatism, and including Nazi elements and shit, but, I mean, even with that being said, I would say that it's not really as near as bad as, like, the South and shit. At least these days. 20 years ago, I probably would be saying something different, but, but at least, like, for, now, I mean, like, at this rate, I'm, it's basically just, like, while it has its elements of similarities, commonalities, one is more worse, and that would be the South. I'd rather deal with far-right conservative people in Oregon versus Southerners. Just hands down. Every day of the week. Did you see KKK Kanye? Did you see what KKK Kanye said? He's going, no, not DEF CON, Death Con. He's going Death Con, not DEF CON. Yeah, he's basically becoming a black Israelite Nazi type. So, I mean, just look at, all you have to do is just look at the most recent pictures of him and you can just tell that he is. But honestly, it's just like, I kind of saw that a little bit. Because I saw a little thing on Ben Shapiro calling out Candace Owens for defending him on that. Which, I'm not surprised, because he's Jew. So, when you're a Jewish person like Ben Shapiro, you're obviously going to not be not exactly defensive of someone, going, quote, Death Con 3 on Jewish people. He's going to be velvet glove with it, because he's a far-right piece of shit, but he's not going to defend it either. So, honestly, at least when it comes to him, like, he's a little fucking twerp. And, yeah, I'm kind of frankly not surprised. Because also, Kanye, like, just, especially with just the way he's looking, he's just slowly but surely, obviously, fucking, like, slowly but surely turning into one of those, like more far-right Nazistic black nationalist, black Israelite types and shit, which a lot of them tend to be very staunchly anti-Semitic. I went to Walmart and my stepdad arrested a trans person who obviously wasn't very passing. It took everything in me to stay quiet. Hasn't that happened before? It sounds like there's somebody who's not exactly passing as trans that lives in your town that happens to frequent that Walmart. It has to deal with your dad's bullshit. Well, you know what? Maybe it's good that he's moving to Arizona with you guys. Because, I mean, then that trans person doesn't have to deal with his stupid fucking bigoted garbage. Oh, honestly, like, did you see the Onion Nuggets on Wednesday? When, like, Paul and TJ were looking at Matt Walsh and shit. It's like, honestly, like, I mean, It's like, I love the guys, you know, but I don't think they just legitimately realize, like, the actual harm and threat that Matt Walsh is, because they're essentially thinking, you know, because he is, like, he's a doughboy fucking shitbag that, you know, is just trying to make a buck, which, yes, he is, but he's, at this point, become one of the most major influencers within the far right and within the fascist right. Like, he just is. And he's a sarcastic terrorist and is advocated and what he has said has actual consequence and has, like, actual results of harm, you know, being done to trans people. So, it's like he's not just some, like, nobody fuck. But it's just like, I mean, they're essentially trying to, you know, make it out like he wasn't necessarily as big of a threat than he really is, you know, just because people react and, you know, talk about him and shit. They've been sleeping because this is oxygen work. Well, yeah, it's a hard labor and work there, buddy. I mean, if you're at least doing that, you should have an earbud in and listen to it in the background. Even if you can't watch it, you gotta listen to it. Because that's what I do when I'm working. Like when Onion Nuggets is live and I have a chance, I just put one earbud in and just listen to it while I'm at work. I mean, it's just like, honestly, I mean, at least with, like, what they were mentioning about him and shit, I mean, it's just like, I just really feel like they don't realize the legitimate, like, harm that he, does cause, when it comes to a lot of his actions. And just, like, kind of hearing them, you know, like, basically, essentially, you know, being like, you know, I said as slaver, if I can't listen to music, neither can you. Fucking boomer mindset. That's literally retarded. Like, go fuck yourself. Like, if you, like, who says that you can't listen to music? If I can't listen to music, says who? Says who, fuckwad? Like, you can listen to music if you want. No one's stopping you. It's like, well, what? It's like, pop a radio on, motherfucker. Like, Jesus. It's like, what, you got a vinyl or something? You got, like, a CD or something you can pop on your fucking radio or some shit? You fucking chuckle fuck. He has this weird-ass rule where he doesn't use anything to distract him while he works. What? He thinks he's teaching me work ethic, Lamau. That's not work no. Bruh, oh my god. That's not, there's nothing, like, I mean, sure. Like, you want to have minimal distractions while you work. I mean, that's not necessarily a bad rule or bad ethic, but, like, having your phone on you and listening to some music or some shit and taking like 5 minutes to set up a playlist or some shit in between your work is not exactly a distraction in my mind. Or like having a radio where every now and then you switch the CDs out or you change the radio station, you know, for like a minute. Like, that's not exactly a major distraction where it does not do much to impede on your work. It's like, I work in a customer service job and I know this and I can figure it out where I can have distractions and work at the same time. It's not that hard. Like, oh my god. I mean, if anything, there's honestly even more, like, unintentional distractions and indirect distractions at a customer service job because there's all sorts of other shit going on. I lost count of the amount of times I've brushed up against a barbed wire. Ooh, so you're probably all scraped up and shit. Ugh. Scraped up, cut up, beaten up. I mean, for me, like, I mean, to me, I like doing work like that myself. You know, for me personally, I don't mind it. So, but I would prefer to just have some music, just like, you know, to listen to, just have an earbud in, and if someone says something to me, I at least have the other ear without an earbud in where I will hear you. So he's also pissed because his boss is committing wage theft against him and he doesn't want to join the security guard union. Oh my god! Wow! So he's all butthurt because he wants to be an independent man and not be, you know, part of our union or whatever the fuck, but he's getting wage theft and being fucked over by his boss. Bro, why do you think it's there? Why do you think that union exists, bro? Dude! Like I said, with the $2K a month he thought he'd be getting, he's getting $1,400. Well, guess who would be there to protect that? Like, are you serious, man? Oh my god. Dude, what is with people sometimes? I hate it when, like, there are sometimes, like, someone has such blatant shit in their face, and they're like, nah, I don't want to do that still. It's like, it's like, not only would you get that 2K, having, like, I don't know, $10 to $15 a month in union dues and shit ain't gonna hurt you. Like, I guess, yeah, sure, that adds up over the year, but that's very little in comparison to, like, you know, what the boss is stealing from you. So, I mean, would you rather pay the due or would you rather get wage theft? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's just like, come on, bro. It's like, how are you conflicted? Like, why would you be conflicted over that? And honestly, like, considering it's a security guard unit, I'm sure the dues are maybe a little more. Like, for me, I think my uni dues are like $11 or something. He also found out he's the lowest paid contractor the employee has. So he's getting fucked. Dude, that would basically be like, oh shit, there's a union, they're all getting a good gig, but I'm getting fucked over here, you know, as the most recent hire. Maybe I should join them, because at least then I'll get what they're getting. Or at least, you know, get, you know, a path to be able to be on the same level as the rank and file there. Like, oh my god. Dude, I just, like, you're gonna still be the independent working man that you is, but hey, you get, like, a collective voice to help back you up and shit. Like, that's why it exists. It says unions are for those who don't want to work hard. Yeah, guess what, buddy? You working harder is not gonna get you your fucking stolen wages. And I guarantee you, if he talks to some of the union security guards, they're gonna say, yeah, I'm one of the more hard-working dudes around here and shit. I'm about as hard-working as you, probably. You know, they're gonna say that shit. Guarantee it. They're just more relaxed and chill about the job and shit. That's probably it. Because they know they get good benefits and a good pay out of it. Unlike him. At that point, he's just fucking himself. It's like, bruh. I mean, it's like, ain't no one gonna join it for you, dude. You know? Oh, look at that little baby. He's a sweet little baby. His best buddy at the hospital keeps trying to get him in the union, but he's persistent as fuck. It's really kind of sad. It really is, dude. Like, fuck. I mean, it initially was kind of amusing, but, like, dude, seriously. Like, if one of his best friends who works there is trying to get him into it, and even he can't really convince him, it's like, I mean, if he thinks, oh, unions don't work, you know, union members don't work hard and stuff, but my best friend who's in it, it's like, he's implying that his best friend is not a hard worker or something. Like, at least if it's logic. Even though I guarantee you his best buddy is not what, you know, is not that. I'm pretty sure his best friend probably does, you know, work hard, hence why he's probably best buddies with the dude, amongst other things, I'm sure. You know, so, oh my god. I mean, like, like, I'd say that, keep it in mind that he might turn around to it, even if he's reluctant about it. But I think even despite that, I don't know. And he just got a military grade vest with steel plates in it, which he got himself. And trauma pads, yeah. Which, frankly, at least when it comes to being a security guard, I would think there should at least be, like, a standard, like, kit, so to speak, that you're issued, and then you could upgrade it and do whatever you want with it from there. But I'm assuming they don't have that. It's just like, yeah, if you better have stuff, or else, you're kind of a shitty security guard. Which is kind of fucked. It's like, I mean, shouldn't there at least be, like, basic kit for being a security guard here, and, and then I can add on to it from there? So I don't have to go out of my way to get all this other extra shit. I mean, knowing him, though, I figured he would want that anyway, so. The only thing the issue is the uniform. Wow. So nothing else. Lame. Good lord. BRB. Gonna go try to convince him? BRB, maybe I'll try to convince him with some of this other information. With some of this other stuff I was bestowed. Oh, a little sip of coffee, sweet little baby. Oh my goodness, he just looks so cute. He just looks so cute. Screechy, screechy, screechy. Screechy boy. Little chungus. You just look like a little chungus boy. Activist frog soup on a Van Gogh painting. What? What? What the fuck is wrong with people? What in the fuck is wrong with people, dude? Ooh, that felt good. Ooh, that also felt good. Zukoff, what is wrong with people? Oh, just look at you. Why are you just so adorable? Oh, look at that little face. You and that sweet little face. You just look so cute. You're just so adorable. What? What are you looking at? What are you looking at, you little dorp? You little derpy dorp. Look at you. Oh. Blop. There you go. Just a little treat for just the cuteness that you is. Oh, what a goof. Oh, he spied a fly. Oh shit, oh, you almost got it. You almost had it there, bud. Man, he's so adamant about trying to get those fucking flies. It is so adorable. Look at you, goof. Oh shit, what happened here? 10 students drowned after a river ferry capsized in Cambodia. These 10 students in southern Cambodia were crossing a river after the boat they were on capsized. Damn. Well, 4 people, 2 students, and 2 of the boat's crew were rescued following the accident Thursday night on the Mekong River, southeast of Phnom Penh. One of the students was still missing. Was overloaded and lacked life jackets. Well, that's always a smart move. Let's not have life jackets on a boat. That's totally a good idea. Students who were between 12 and 14 were returning from an English class. They lived on an island in a river, and they used the ferry for transport almost every day in the rainy season, and to others from their village. During the dry seasons, the river is sometimes little to nowhere and can be traversed by foot. The accident occurred near the Nikleon Bridge over the Mekong, which separates the Kendal province to the western shore from Pravang in the east. Wait, so why didn't they just take the bridge? The bridge is part of a major road to connect the canal Phnom Penh to Ho Chi Minh, neighboring Vietnam. Is it just like, well, why didn't they just take the bridge? I'm assuming it just, like, you know, doesn't lead to where they need to go, I guess. Or maybe it's a highway bridge. I guess it's a highway bridge, so they couldn't take that. Yeah, that fucking sucks. I mean, if it's, like, something that they basically, like, fucking do on daily, they would think they would know what overloads a boat. Accident occurred, the boat was approaching the shore. It took on water in the bow, and the students were instructed to move 2 seats in the middle or stern of the boat. However, as they walked back, the boat became unbalanced and turned over. Oh my god. That's it. Oh my god. So who was the jackass operating that boat and thought that was a good idea? Dude, wow. Whoever was running that boat and whoever's captaining the boat and, like, thinking that was a smart move was that just because there's a little little water being taken on the bow of a boat doesn't inherently mean you just move all of the fucking weight on the other end of the boat. That is how you capsize the fucking thing. Because all that water that is in the boat sloshes over to that end of the boat, and thus more weight is added to that side, and thus capsizes. It's just like, you would think, you know, like, if these people have, you know, at least who operate these boats would know that, considering in the rainy season they use them and have to traverse it with those, they would know that. I mean, good lord. Well, if they kind of investigate it a little bit and fucking you know, like, kind of look at, like, what boats are being used and potentially, you know, like, make them get wider boats, like more wider river boats and shit, instead of, like, smaller, narrower boats where it's easier to capsize, because big, wide boats are harder to capsize. So, like, very wide-ass river boats, you know, I think be a lot better, you know, for crossing rivers, especially during wet seasons, you know, like, at least, you know, for that river. At least in comparison, because I'm imagining, like, what, like, some, like thin-ass, like, canoe-style transport boat or something. Like, that would easily capsize. So, yeah, like, make sure, like, you know, like, boats, you know, that are transporting people, you know, of a certain amount of people, you know, or like, a certain width. So then whatever weight displacement happens doesn't risk the capsizing of the boat. I mean, it's like in the Willamette, like, there's little river boats and they're wide as fuck. And the river here is not harsh at all. It's a very calm ass river. I mean, it has strong currents, but that's about it. You know, it's like you probably want to have a life jacket when you're swimming in the river, but beyond that, at least if you swim deep in it, if you're just right offshore, you're fine. But beyond that, you probably want a life jacket in the river if you're not a good swimmer at all. Just because, you know, there's that strong current. Like, that'll carry you up to Colombia. That shit's gonna carry you up. Actually, that'd be kind of dope. Just have like an inner tube, just sit on the limit and just slowly, let the current just take me wherever it goes. So if I end up going down to Columbia, I just go down to Columbia on the inner tube. That'd actually be pretty fucking dope. I should do that. I mean, it'll probably have to be a weekend thing. Just like take an inner tube all the way out to Astoria from Portland. just with the mere currents of the river, of the rivers, I should say. I listen to Lemon and then to Columbia, just drifting my way all the way to Astoria. Oh my god, that would actually be kind of funny. But that would take, I think, a few days. Because I'm going just on the virtue of the current. I'm not going to get to Astoria in one day. Like, definitely not. It'll take at least, like, 2 or 3 days. It'll take a while. Unless I did it even at night, which I kind of don't want to because I value sleep and food. Like, I would take pit stops every now and then. I guess that's the other thing, too. So, yeah, it would be a few days if I did that. Did it have to be, like, a week trip? Like, have a car waiting for me at, like, Astoria, and then just, like, have this little trip all the way of just an inner tube in the backpack. With just some basic gear and a little tent. Have a little inner tube with Zukov on it. A little baby one, dragging along. Oh. Zukov being a little ball like he is right now. Being a sweet boy. Look at you. Some got your little face, you little sweet boy. Oh, so sweet baby. You just sweet little boy. Just sweet, sweet little boy. What was that? He just smushed his face, like, and then just, like, went like, It's like, you just headbutted something, dude. You just did what I call a headbutt. You goofy little... Oh, that's why. There's a fly. You still haven't gotten that fly, dude? Get it, bro. Get it. Get the fly. He still hasn't gotten the fucking thing. Man. Thought I would have gotten him by now. Yeah. Kind of staring at this video of this whole Van Gogh shit. I want to see what this is about. Because I guess there's some activists or some shit that decided that they were going to be idiots and be pieces of shit and just like vandalize some just priceless art essentially. Because, I mean... It's like, I mean, say what you want about the state of affairs of the world. Like, I don't think a painting of fucking Van Gogh's art is, you know, going to have any effect or any impact on that outside of just making you look like a piece of shit for doing something to it. So, I mean, I already am not in favor of whoever did this. I don't give a fuck what activism they're doing or what it is. Like, whoever, you know, decide to put soup on a painting is a fucking, you know, they're fucking scumbags. Fuck them. Like, I mean, they're pieces of shit as far as I'm concerned, because if they really wanted to make an impact of what they were doing, they could have done something totally different and not at a fucking art piece. Like, I don't think, you know, hitting some art is how you do it. If anything. Like, I mean, it's fucking art. I mean, it's just like, what the fuck? So, I'm pretty much, like, already, I'm not, like, I'm just coming out just right off the bat against whoever the fuck these people are. Just because I already know I'm not gonna like them. They're gonna be pieces of shit. So, you know, let's just see. Wow, let's just get right to the video. Jesus, okay.
Climate.
Oh my gosh. That's the reaction that someone had. I'd literally yell, what the fuck, and call security. Like, dude, you know, yeah, fuck those people. Like, I mean, that's just, like, there's probably legit a one-of-a-kind piece. Like, there's probably no other original like that. You know what I mean? It's a Van Gogh piece. In fact, like, a lot of his art, maybe not most, but a lot of his art is, you know, lost forever, essentially. It's just lost in time. So, like, whatever is still preserved, you know, is, you know, absolutely, one, worth preserving, and two, it's just invaluable because of that. I mean, it's, like, it's art. I mean, fuck. I mean, it's like, like, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't have a price. Or really, should it? It's just like, you know, an invaluable piece of, you know, history and art of an artist of the time, of his time, or their time, or her time. You know, depending on who the artist is. In this case, Van Gogh. And it's just like, I mean, that ought to be preserved. You know, it's just like, there's, like, what fucking point is there to that? I mean, what fucking point is there to this shit? Just stop. Wait, so, I'm sure, okay, well...
Climate activists
oh, wait, they're climate activists? Okay, so fuck them especially even more. Like, what the fuck does, like, wasting food and basically having just, like, a can littered on, you know, art grounds and shit, and then just wasting fucking soup on a priceless piece of art and shit, has anything... What the fuck does that have to do with anything about climate change, you pieces of fucking shit? Like, fuck these leeches. Like, the other day, like I find boys, Scott and Taylor were looking at a climate activist that glued their hand to the fucking road and threw away the glue in the sewer and shit. It's like, and so it's another one of these fucking dipshit degenerate fucks. Like, oh, I'm a climate activist, but then they go out of their way to basically do the most stupidest fucking thing in the name of environmentalism and shit. It's like, no, go fuck yourself. Like, go fuck off. You deserve to get smacked around a little bit. You deserve to, you know, have, like, you know, a bruise on your face and shit. No, fuck you. Fucking dumbass scumbags. Thinking you have a lick of an idea about, like, you know, what environmentalism is and what climate activism is about when you're fucking wasting soup, you piece of shit. Fuck you. Cunts.
To ruin a Van Gogh painting that was behind a pane of glass, throwing soup at it in an attempt to...
Oh, thank fuck. Oh, it had glass on it? Good. You know, oh man, wow, that's actually fucking, wow, that's, wow, thank God. Thank fuck. It's still egregious, and it should still be charged, you know, as if they did vandalize it. So, thank goodness that it was behind a pane of glass, so.
Climate crisis. So in this video, I will get to more, including what they were saying after they threw that soup. And I will also show you many opinions online from both sides of this argument. And I'll...
Fuck anyone who defends this.
I want to hear your thoughts below. But first, I want you to hear the arguments. So we will get there. First,
frankly, I don't give a fuck. Like, that's about as far as I'm concerned about it. Like, frankly, I don't give a fuck what their arguments are. Fuck them. Like... I'd rather, you know, listen to people who actually have a, you know, like a more mature, you know, idea about what climate activism is about. Like, fuck these people. Like, I give a fuck what their opinion is, because they know nothing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing, as far as I'm concerned. Fuck them. Dumb fucks.
And what these activists from the Just Stop Oil campaign said.
Security! What was that? Security! Hey, you guys! Like, I mean, what the fuck? Like, yo! Like, I mean, where did he come from?
Worth more? Art or life? Is it worth more than food? Worth more than justice?
Fuck off. Like, you're speaking to nobody as far as I'm concerned. It's just blah, 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 blah. It's like, that's, like, no one cares. No one gives a fuck. It's a piece of art and shit. It has nothing to do with any of this. Like, so go fuck off. I could give a fuck about what you have to think.
And about the protection of the painting or the protection of our planet and people. The cost of living crisis.
You know what, just fuck off. I legit could give a fuck about what she has to say. Like, she lost any fucking respect when, you know, she decided to fucking, you know, throw that soup at the painting and shit. Fuck her. I could give a fuck. It's like, yeah, it's like, I agree about, you know, climate activism. I, you know, absolutely think, you know, it needs to be, you know, justice for the planet and for the environment and shit. But you're not selling me on that. You're turning people away, doing that shit. At least, you know, from you. So fuck off. Like, no one wants to hear what you have to say over that shit. They just want to see you charged and put in fucking jail, where you rightfully belong, for doing shit like that. Fucking dumb cunt. Like, what, you really think I'm gonna care about what you have to say after that shit? Like, you could literally be, like, saying that, like, we need to make sure that we enforce all laws on cracking down on pedophilia and whatever the fuck, and I still will tell you to go fuck off. I can give a shit. It's like, you're not making a point. If you're really wanting to make, you know, a whole climate activist point like that, go fucking, like, vandalize a Shell Corporation office or some shit. Go break one of their fucking windows. Go into a Wells Fargo bank. You know, go there. Don't go to some fucking art museum, you know, and, you know, trying to make a point to people who just want to fucking look at art. It's fucking art. Like, I mean, give me a break. Like, that has to do with fucking anything when it comes to, like, climate activism and shit. Like, cause, yeah, guess what? It's a fucking art museum, so yeah, it's going to be protected from pieces of shit cunt fucking retards like you. So fuck off. I can give a fuck what she has to say.
I will get to many thoughts. Many thoughts. People have strong opinions on this, if you can believe it. So I will get to those online.
Goddamn right.
First, a little more context for this story. So this is from Metro
Fuck that cretin.
News in the UK. They threw the contents of 2 Heinz tomato soup over the 1888 version of sunflowers that is protected by a sheet of glass. Video footage posted to Twitter showed them then gluing themselves to the gallery wall below the estimated 84.2 billion painting. Also, it's the 14th day of demonstrations by Just Stop Oil, a coalition of groups lobbying the government to end all new oil and gas projects.
Well, maybe they should probably, you know, like, take some introspection in the leadership a little bit, and maybe actually, like, you know, think about what is actually a smart way of doing climate activism and what isn't. Because as far as I'm concerned, these people don't sound fucking serious. Just Stop Oil, and we're gonna be fucking a bunch of retards and just, like, glue ourselves into things and throw it down sewers and fucking, like, you know, just waste soup that could have gone to a person who was fucking hungry. It's like, fuck these people. Like, I'm supposed to take these people seriously? Like, no. Like, this is not how you do climate activism and shit. If you want to do some fucking climate activism and shit, chain yourself up and lock the key up and shit, you know, to a fucking, you know, Shell Corporation or some shit. Chain yourself up to trees, you know, like fucking, you know, go like occupy a dam or some shit. Like, actually do fucking climate activism. This is just fucking bullshit. This is fucking meaningless garbage that just pisses people off. From all sides. Because you just make people on the right, who are already climate denialists, you know, just be like, see, they're just a bunch of fucking foo-foo woke libs. That's what they're gonna fucking think, and just enforce their fucking views, and just go further down that road. And then you're gonna get motherfuckers, you know, on my end of things, who actually know a little bit of thing about doing activism, being on a, you know, marching line, and being at a fucking protest and shit like that, who actually know a fucking thing or two, to know what is proper, what isn't. And this shit is just fucking ridiculous shit. It's beyond fucking ridiculous. And I mean, as a little side note though, oh, it's like an $84.5 something million project. It's like fuck off of that shit too. It's like, so as I'm concerned, art, you know, like that is invaluable. Like, it need not have a price. Like, fuck it having a price. Just have it preserved, you know, for an art museum for all to see. You know, like where it is. I mean, it's just like, fuck. Are you in danger? No. I'm not in danger, and if I was, I have ways to defend myself, so.
Of the incident, it's time to step up and stand up for what is right. And ending here, There is some minor damage to the frame, but the painting is unharmed. So, important context here. I do think that changes this discussion, because if the painting was...
I mean, not really. We'll see a tent. Like, their intent was to ruin the painting and shit. They probably didn't know immediately that it had a glass pan on it, so they just, they had the cans open, ready to go, and went up to it and chucked the soup at it. They probably didn't immediately notice a glass pan on it. Like, I don't think that changes much of the context of it. It's their fucking intent of what they were doing. And to their intent to try to be like, I'm gonna that bitch by basically ruining 2 things of soup that someone could have easily made for themselves who was going hungry somewhere. So that could have dropped off at a food bank or some shit. Just waste that by chucking it out of fucking painting. Because that makes a point in climate activism, because question mark
destroyed, there would be even stronger opinions. But I think it's important to understand here that there was no real damage done. The frame's a little damaged.
I don't necessarily think that's the point. It's the intent of it. Maybe they didn't necessarily get the damage they wanted, which good, they didn't. They're hoisted by their own petard on that one. But beyond that, it's just it's still the matter of intent of what they were doing. It's I mean, we're not gonna look at somebody who accidentally ran somebody over and be like, what, it was an accident, man. It's I didn't mean to do that. It's and the person survived and shit, even though they were trying to run this person over to kill them. It's what, it was an accident. I wasn't trying to run them over, even though they lived and suffered severe injuries and shit. It's it doesn't matter. It's the intent that you try to fucking murder the person. That's why there are things called attempted murder charges and shit like that. Because the attempted intent of what you were trying to do was faltered and foisted in some way, and thus failed. But nonetheless, the intent still matters.
But let's get to... So this, of course, is making headline news. I mean, if this is... I'm sure part of their... goal here is to make headlines, get people talking about this, maybe get people talking about the Just Stop Oil campaign and what they were fighting.
Well, yeah, I guess to make me talk about them to an extent that I think they're a bunch of idiots that don't know how to properly do activism. It's if you want to do fucking activism, do marches, go meet at different fossil fuel corporation offices and shit. There are ways to do this shit and do it proper and make a point. And get it to where the cops might have to come be suck up on you, because if you're surrounding a fucking fossil fuel office and shit, making a point and spray painting and vandalizing a little bit and shit, stuff like that on the outside, doing property damage similar to this, but instead it's at a more direct target of what you're fucking advocating against, then you would be making not just a fucking point, with the damage you're trying to do a shit like this, but also actually hit a target of what you're at, of your climate advocacy. Because if you're hitting a shell corporation versus some fucking, national art gallery, your point stings far more. It's more potent because it actually matters. This shit doesn't mean anything outside to make you look like a bunch of retards. A bunch of fucking impulsive fucking idiots that don't know what they're doing outside of just pitching in on for the ride because you think it's cool. It's fuck off. Fuck these people, dude.
On the climate crisis,
fuck these people.
They have succeeded in doing that. But
fuck them to the deepest layer of Dante's fucking hell. Because they ruin it for all of us when it comes to shit like this. So fuck them. I vehemently despise these type of fucking people, because if anything, I just think they're more psyop, agitator, saboteur types. I don't even think they actually believe in the shit that they advocate for. They do this shit purposely as operators, as saboteurs and agitators, to purposely trying to make environmentalism and climate action look shitty and look retarded like this. They purposely try to do this because they're psyops, as far as I'm concerned. Because when it comes to action and civil rights or climate action or any type of movement like this, there will always be psyops, be agitators, be saboteurs. Always. It's just a fact. It always happens. It's just a given, especially in the US and especially in the UK. Both those countries especially.
He's a YouTuber and streamer as well, saying,
and I guarantee you these fucking people are that. I guarantee you these two motherfuckers are that.
Convince ones of people to join and support your tomato soup movement. So this is a lot of...
Yeah, so cool and brave. This will convince me to support this movement of tomato soup. Yeah, it's a base comment. Who was that? Heme? The only Heme? I don't know who that is.
That this is not going to help them at all in getting people on board.
No, if anything, it makes me venomous towards these people.
I would argue that we already have people. You don't need people to join the climate movement.
Yeah, you do. What? That's fucking naive. That's a really fucking naive thing to think, David. Like, seriously. What? What do you mean we already have people? No, we don't. If like, one, example A, that. Two, the immense grip of the fossil fuel industry, not just in this country, but in the entire fucking world. OPEC. Like, I mean, the propaganda wing of every media outlet basically defending the fossil fuel industry. And you say we have enough people? You fucking kidding me, dude? Like, what fucking naive fucking framework of mindset is that?
A second. The barrier to progress on the climate crisis is not the public. It's politicians and massive oil companies.
Which have persuaded a lot of public who have become, in many ways, in various forms, different climate denialists or climate skeptics and shit, and don't take, the seriousness of climate change seriously, and the aspects of environmentalism seriously because of their propaganda on the public. We don't have the people because if we did, we'd be seeing far more of, a mass movement about shit like this, wouldn't we? Putting the cart before a horse there, buddy.
No, you can, I think, correctly argue that this one action is not going to change that. But also, I don't think that was the goal of this one action. Nobody is claiming...
So what the fuck was the goal then?
That throwing soup on Van Gogh is going to save the climate. I mean, and that's some of the...
No one was saying that either.
Some of the dumbest shit that I've seen in terms of arguments against this. There are fair arguments against this, as I will get to. But that is a dumb argument. That was not the goal of this. It's just all of a sudden solve the climate crisis. So, no.
No one thinks that. These people think, though, that, if we do this, we will win people over to, be more aware of trying to fight for this so we can get to that point. But they're not. They're turning people away from that idea. Because, if anything, I think it's fucking purposeful.
Not going to happen. But, in terms of where people are, so poll after poll after, all data shows that the majority of people already support some real movement on climate change. So this is from Yale. Most registered voters would prefer to vote for a candidate who supports action on global warming. So they have 58%.
This doesn't really mean much to me. Polls don't really mean too much when it comes to shit like this. Because, there might be there might be a lot of people that in one way, shape, or form would prefer people or candidates or politicians that, advocate some of that. They don't really actually care. They don't actually give a fuck. They're just like, I do care about this because I like to recycle. I like to reuse things and blah, 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 blah. Like, they have the most, softest, cursory, approach when it comes to shit like this. Like how Oregon has recycling bins and shit like that, in comparison to most other states where they don't. And just shit like that, or like a bottle drop and things like that. Like, these more softer things that people, when it comes to climate action or climate change, that, small as they are, do help try to mitigate, to some of these issues. Like, at the end of the day, You know, it's not like they're thinking about, I'm save the climate when they do this shit. They don't give a fuck. They're like, oh, I go to the bottle truck, I get my 10 cents from the can I dropped off, you know, or, you know, however much I get from all the cans I dropped off and shit, and I can, you know, have like $5 or like $2 or some shit or whatever the fuck. It's just like, people are thinking that. People are like, oh, you know, recycle all my shit because, you know, like, that's just part of the routine and blah, blah, blah. Like, no one actually gives that much of a strong shit. Like, I mean, at least when it comes to the general public, because they'd pretty much just rather have politicians figure it out, which is why they, you know, have a cursory glance to it, for the most part. They don't actually, you know, want to put in the action, put in, like, you know, a more proactive approach to things. That's just most of America. They don't take proactive approaches to shit, even if they are pro a thing.
Saying it doesn't matter either way.
That's why this type of shit doesn't really mean much. It's like, oh yeah, a majority of the country does support like some form of, you know, climate action and shit, or, you know, supports the consensus of about climate change and shit. But it doesn't really mean anything if they're not going to be proactive about that.
Pew Research, 2/3 of Americans think government should do more on climate. This is from 2020. This is Data for Progress. A majority of voters support the Green New Deal. And what I like about Data for Progress is they are specific in terms of how they ask the question. So they are very clear about what the Green New Deal is, what it would do in terms of creating more good-paying jobs, union jobs, while also addressing the climate crisis and bringing down the use of fossil fuels. So they're clear about what this means. And when they are clear about that, you have a majority of support. So 60% support the Green New Deal here as well. So the barrier, again, is not the public. It's politicians and massive oil companies. Now, you could argue that maybe this will shave off a few people from supporting climate change, but if throwing soup on a painting all of a sudden makes you not want to do anything about the climate, then maybe you were never really in support for climate to begin with.
Well, I can at least agree with that. But, I mean, it's just like, at least when it comes to like shaving off people, yeah, like, and to that point, yeah. I mean, to the one before, it's just like, I mean, it's, you know, it's like, while people, you know, like, especially if you're very specific about what, like, a type of idea like the Green New Deal is, it just kind of goes back to my point. It's like, I mean, yeah, the public will support a lot of this, but they're going to actually be very proactive towards it, because if so, we would actually see more of a significant difference and more activism and more of a push and pressure, you know, of politicians to enact these things, wouldn't there? Like, Americans, especially, unfortunately, are not exactly very proactive. I mean, it's just like, and I guess, you know, when it comes to Brits and just people in Europe, when they're proactive, I mean, at least in some parts, there's a lot of various different people who are, you know, either idiots or just psyops and agitators that are purposely trying to make shit worse by doing shit like this and try to sow more division and, you know, in all this, because it does make, you know, the activism of climate change just look bad. It makes, you know, people like us that actually do give a shit, you know, just look like a bunch of chuckle fucks, when in reality that's not what it is.
You know, if this turns you into a Republican or something, then you should be checking yourself, because
yeah, I'm a full-on Republican now, damn it.
You're the one that's being ridiculous. But this is from what I've seen. I'll get to more arguments here, but from what I've read, the best argument against this action. So Matt Boers here, who is a artist, writes here, false choice, replying to what is worth more, art or life. He says, false choice, anti-art nonsense, and dangerous given fascism has positioned itself as the savior of Western civilization and the Enlightenment.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I honestly do kind of agree with that. And it is anti-art, honestly. Frankly, I do agree with this. Like, I mean, I can already tell he's going to have an issue with that, but no, I do agree with that, because fascism does poise itself as like the savior of Western civilization, of Western man, and man meaning like males, men, like not women, men, and also like the Enlightenment of, you know, traditional values and shit like that. Like, I mean, that's what fascism poised itself towards and advocate of. Because, I mean, when you have various different examples like this, or, you know, different things that people might not understand, but then you have these propagandists and fascistic commentators who spin their agenda and pseudoscience bullshit into these people's ears and get convinced by it, you know, it adds more to the fucking discord and divisions when it comes to issues like this. So when you got people like this doing shit, you know, like trying to ruin a piece of art and basically, you know, imply like a choice, you know, art or life, basically. It's just like life or death, essentially. And, you know, but, you know, it's like Western art, you know, or whatever the fuck, or like death and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, I mean, when you have like, you know, fascists that will poison in that way, you know, there are going to be people that, you know, may potentially agree to that, even environmentalist types too. Because then you'll have people who are eco-fascists that exist. Because those, weirdly enough, are a thing. And they're, frankly, just as crazy as regular fascists. They're just fascists that realize that there is climate change. Basically, there's not really much of a difference between them. Eco-fascist, fascist, there really isn't much difference between the two.
Point against this action. There are many targets that they could have had, and they just Stop Oil have had many other targets, including, you know, actual oil companies.
So why don't they keep doing that? Or, you know, just gas stations even. Like, convince workers to do a walkout, and, or make them walk out, and then fucking, you know, occupy a gas, you know, different gas stations or some shit. Like, there are honestly ways you could do climate activism where, yeah, it might cause controversy and be a little annoying to a lot of people, but even I can defend, like, you know, hey, we're gonna, you know, have workers kind of force a little walkout, you know, and have them just kind of be outside while we just kind of occupy this place to chain ourselves up to, like, the gas pumps and shit. Because, hey, they can't do their job. The guy kind of have to walk out and just be like, well, what the fuck, you know? So, too bad, so sad. You know, like, just shit like that. I mean, don't, like, obviously, you know, like, go out of your way to, like, you know, steal at the gas station or nothing, but just, like, change yourself and occupy that shit, you know what I mean? It's just, like, there's ways where you can do climate action, even controversial action, and, you know, and actually make it justifiable. Like, because at the end of the day, it's like, to me, as far as I'm concerned, throwing soup at a painting and shit, even if it was protected by a window pane because of your fucking intent, is not justifiable or defensible. I don't give a shit. And it rolls off, you know, whatever the fuck, you know, they have to say when it comes to, like, their justification or their action. Because they're just, you know, just like at that point, so as far as I'm concerned, they are being the vandal and shit. Back had to eat. See, at least you ate your tomato soup, unlike these two cunts. They'd rather throw it at a Van Gogh painting because climate action or something, question mark, question mark, question mark. Hopefully I try to convince in your step pops of that security guard union shit. Because I'm assuming y'all eat together. I'll have a little family dinner.
I don't think is really the best optics for them. That said, when we get to optics, is it really about...
Why ruin a priceless painting? It was protected by a glass panel, so the painting itself was not harmed. The frame that it was on was partially damaged with food smears and shit, but, like, luckily the painting itself wasn't. But the intent of trying to damage it and ruin it, though, is still very well there. I mean, you can kind of see the video a little bit on the bottom there.
But he makes the point that this can potentially turn people onto the idea that the ones on the right, that conservatives are actually correct. Because here you have people that, you know, ostensibly are on the left, essentially, you know, attempting to just destroy civilization or, you know, output from Western civilization like art. Which,
at least when it comes to fascists, is a talking point that they absolutely use. I mean, and I think as leftists should recognize that a little bit. But why ruin artistic treasure? That's, I mean, honestly, like, as far as I'm concerned, like, old paintings and old art, you know, regardless of where it comes from, whether it's, like, European, Asian, you know, from the Americas, I don't really care where it's from. Like, as far as I'm concerned, it's invaluable and should be preserved. Just full stop. Like, they should be preserved and put in, like, national art galleries and national historic museums and stuff for people to see. So, like, it's available for everyone to see and, experience, to see, like, what, some of the old art and old culture of the past was, of whatever it was. I mean, it's just like, it's like, I mean, that has nothing to do with climate change or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's, if anything, it's actually, not directly, but at least indirectly, part of it in a sense of like, hey, because of climate change, there's going to be parts of the environment that are, one, not going to be habitable anymore, and thus we're not going to be able to go to, for the second part, to, see what, like, the culture's past and, like, humans' past was there, because it's going to be, ruined for us to be able to traverse and be able to go to, and be hard to get there, like, at that point, because it's just going to be uninhabitable. If that's the case, then we're not going to be able to go to where, to these places or potential archaeological sites to be able to preserve, this type of stuff, because it's just going to be then forever lost to time. So it's just like, I'd rather, we preserve of whatever, we are able to of, humanity's past, and let it, let it be available for everyone to see. Good side of climate changes, at least Saudi Arabia won't be a country much longer. But then also, at least when it comes to the royals and a lot of the people that do believe, like, that hyper-Wahhabist type of Sharia Sunni Islam, they're going to be elsewhere around the world too. So let's just hope that their shift, like, kind of like what Iran is happening, let's just hope it happens there too before that. Because I'm not keen of having, like, a bunch of fundamentalists, like, extremists, like, Islamofascists, I don't like religio-fascist, period. Like, regardless of what, like, religion I come from, so, like, Christo-fascist, Islamofascist, I'm not really for that, so. Let's just hope that that part of, Saudi Arabia can change, at least. I'm for everything else about it, like, I mean, the... some of the other, like, culture stuff, like the food, music. I mean, honestly, like, deep down inside, people want to party hard and, get lit and, get fucked up and shit. So it's like the people that are Saudi, that do flee the country and leave, like, end up being like this fucking, like, flowering, ball of just character, and it's just awesome. So.
It's not destroyed. It's behind a painted glass. But the initial reaction that people have from seeing this, yes, I think can turn people off. Not off necessarily.
I think it still does.
To the arguments around the climate crisis, but off to this entire movement or, the politics that they align with. So I think that is a legitimate fear, and I think this is a good criticism. That said, let's get to Morgan Page here, who writes, "The painting is protected by glass, so everyone can calm down. It's a great attention-grabbing scene within the context of galleries that are funded by BP and other oil interests."
Okay, they should probably be tax-paid and funded then. I don't know why they aren't.
Wilkinson here writes, "Think there's an obvious logic to climate activists desecrating irreplaceable things of immense value. Their whole point is we're doing exactly that to our entire biosphere." Also,
and you think an irrelevant thing like art is really gonna change people's minds? Like, seriously. Like, if anything, you're just giving more talking points to fascists and to people on the far right and climate denialists. You're giving them talking points doing shit like this. So there's nothing justifiable about this. Like, oh, hey, it's behind a painted glass, calm down. It's like, no, fuck you. Like, quit being fucking naive about, like, the actual consequences. It's like, yeah, the art piece wasn't ruined, which good, thank goodness, but, like, that's really not the whole point. The damage, fundamentally, socially, is done now at that point. Because now the fucking talking points, I mean, I already hearing them. I can already hear them coming out of the, waves and shit. I already can tell that, like, Ben Shapiro might have, like, a fucking, like, segment about this. I swear to God. Like, he's gonna probably have one. And it's like, because, like, these motherfuckers, like, can sniff this shit out in the wind and be like, ooh, excellent time to go after the woke liberals. So, I mean, like, no matter what, as far as I'm concerned, like, even if it's like, hey, their point is, like, if, you know, the climate is going to basically, you know, take invaluable, irreplaceable things, you know, like life, then, you know, that's going to be our point with this art piece, because question mark, question mark, question mark. It's just like, again, there's just so many different ways of actually, you know, making a point when it comes to climate action, you know, versus fucking, you know, like this shit. I mean, honestly, like, I mean, if they really wanted to make a point, they could have gone to, like, Wells Fargo or, like, a BP office or some shit. Not just, like, occupy it outside, but, like, raid that fucker. Like, go raid inside and fucking, you know, splatter tomato soup, glitter, fucking, like, glue everywhere and shit, you know, like, glitter bombs, whatever the fuck, like, literally anything. Because that would actually be base, like, watching him burst into a fucking BP office and just splatter the fucker with tomato soup and glitter and shit like that. That would at least be based. I can at least defend that shit and think it would be fucking awesome, actually. You know, it's like, I mean, take it up a notch. Not this shit. I mean, seriously, like, there's a way to do climate action and actually be controversial, make a point, and actually, like, be, like, actually defensible. But just, this isn't. Like, even if, like, you know, the painting itself is fine, it's, like, it's the intent and the consequence of the action. That's really the fundamental point. It's not really the fact that, oh, it's fine. It's, like, good, but that's not exactly the point. Up yours, conservative moralists. We'll see who cancels who. Oh, we'll cancel them good, alright. Anyway, I think we've reacted enough to this Van Gogh soup shit, because, oh my god. Like, that shit honestly really does piss me off, though, like, legit. Because it doesn't do anything besides just add more exacerbation of shit, you know, far more. I feel like attacking a corporate office would give some ammo to the far-right peddlers, even if it's base as fuck. But at least there would be more of an argument to defend it. And there's an actual argument to be had to defend that shit, because it's not some invaluable piece of artwork. Now you're going into a corporate office. Yeah, you might be messing with people's jobs and their kind of daily livelihoods at their fucking office and shit. But, you know, don't target them. Like, in fact, you know, be like, hey, you might want to get out of the office. We're about to, like, throw soup and glitter all over, buddy. You know, like, if anything, just let them know, like, you might want to just, you know, exit over there or something. You know, like, we're gonna wreck the place. You know, like, I mean, if anything, as long as you're not actually directly targeting people, and just going after, like, you know, just, like, the main offices, and mainly directly the administrators and the higher-ups. I mean, you, like, you know, go through, like, you know, because obviously I'm imagining it to get to where the higher-ups are and shit in these offices, you're probably going to have to go through, you know, the schmo blows in their offices and shit, so don't fuck with them. Just hit the higher-ups, hit the managers and CEO types that are in these offices. You know, go to theirs. If you have to break open the door to, you know, bust through their shit, then fucking do it. I mean, when you have, like, 50 of you in these fucking, in the building like that, doing that shit, like, I mean, what, they're gonna get, like, every security guard on you? Like, what, the, like, 5 in that whole building? Like, they're not gonna be able to stop all of it, you know what I mean? Like, at least then, while in base, and, you know, actually, if anything, going to make them look a little more tougher. It's like, oh, shit, they're fighting security and shit in an office building, you know, for BP, and trying to get into, like, the manager's office and shit. Like, damn. Like, they're actually, like, you know, fighting and shit a little bit. It's like, it'll actually make them look a little more tougher. So it'd even be more based. It's like, yeah, there would still, it'd definitely be controversial as fuck, for sure. But I think, you know, in a way, it'd be more defensible, and it would get more coverage, and it would be more of a sting. It'd be more potent. And, it would put that whole climate thing on the table and shit. It'd make people talk, for sure. Because, I mean, you know, no one likes a fucking corporate shitbag. For the most part, I guess. But obviously, you know, I mean, it would have their spin on it. You know, people would see it on Twitter. It would explode. It'd definitely be better than vandalizing, or attempting to, at least, you know, Van Gogh painting, for sure. Even more so since their mandates protect specific property instead of a broad mandate protecting all properties. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they definitely would. Which is why if you had, like, you know, like a whole big, like, you know, rally of people, like, outside of, like, 100+ people, and, like, 50 of them went inside, specifically go to, like, the manager's office, you know, go in there and, like, rummage for like, the CEO's office in there or some shit. I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, there will be, you know, some security and shit, and they're obviously going to try to, you know, be brutal as fuck, but, I mean, it's all about the numbers. If you got, like, you know, 5 of you, but there's, like, 50 of, like, other people at you and shit, you're going to get overwhelmed really quickly. It's like, no amount of, like, baton beating is going to fucking quell that. It's not like they have tear gas or anything, you know, like, they're security. They're not like full-on cops in riot gear. So, their tools are also limited. Armed security guards. This isn't like England. This isn't like, you know, like, the cops barely are allowed to have guns in England. You know, like, I mean, I doubt security guards are gonna have them either. We're talking about, like, because those climate activists are in England and shit, not in the U.S. In the U.S., yeah, that'd be a different story. But in the UK, though, I mean, it's like the cops are barely allowed to have guns there. Thought this in America. Yeah, that Van Gogh painting was at the London National Art Gallery or some shit. So at least with the Van Gogh thing, that was in the UK. So a lot of the climate activism going on is in Europe and mainly in the UK right now. So, I mean, the worst, I'm saying this is about what they can do. Because it'd be international coverage, because I guarantee you that America would be covering that. A fucking fly? Zukov, you still haven't gotten this fly. Or maybe that spider by that light over there. One of you two, fuck. Spider, you need to pay your rent. I haven't seen you getting a fly lately. If you haven't, I'm going to escort you outside where I know you'll eat a fly. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to climate activists in America, you gotta be more careful about that. You can't just storm into a fucking, like, corporate, you know, office and try to rummage for the manager's office and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, because security will just shoot you. So, yeah, yeah. Like, occupy, you know, you can occupy the property and maybe, like, you know, chain the, you know, building shut so no one can leave while you're all occupy the outside of the building. And actual cops have to come in and break it up and shit while you all be peaceful, just occupying the outside of the property. Because then at that point, security really can't get to you when the doors are literally chained. Like, when the doors are chained shut, like, how in the fuck are you going to be able to, like, you know, like, how are you going to get to them? You're stuck inside. Unless you want to bust a window or bust, like, a glass door or something. But you're meant to protect the property and not damage it. So, you know, like, you know, not much you can do besides just hope the cops deal with it. Would you throw a Poopatov cocktail? It's like a Molotov, but poop instead of alcohol. Like, poop in a bag and chuck it at somebody? What, literally just go chimp mode and just take a shit and just throw it at someone? Like, ugh. I mean, like, no. I do many things, you know, but I don't know if I do that. That's just, no. That's just a little gnarly. Poop in a bottle, light it on fire, and throw. Oh my god. Yeah, oh my lord. That wouldn't really work that well, though. I mean, nowhere near like a regular Molotov. Like a Poopatov cocktail. I think you just wanted to say Poopatov. I think you just wanted an excuse to say that. Flame poop wouldn't be fun to hit with. Yeah, no, it wouldn't. Woke. Woke. What type of fucking name is that? What the fuck? Lord. Here, play a tune real quick. Gonna go to the bathroom. Then be right back. Here we go. Well, I'll be right back, yo. Look, Suka! Why do you keep locking yourself in the locker room? It's illegal. Boy, back. Yes, sweet boy. Shit be gone woke. Shit be gone woke. Speaking of Heather, I just watched Conspiracy Dog how he skipped Argentina with Ava. I think that's like the, like kind of like the biggest, like the most common theory of like with what happened to Hitler is like he fled there. Oh, he finally got the fly. Good job, Zukov. Finally. I did, but Argentina wasn't woke enough. Wasn't woke. It's not Mikanda. I also imagine, like, Iceland, for as small as it is, pretty woke, too. It's got gay bars out there, and, like, a lot of different restaurants of all sorts of different, like, ethnic food types and shit out there. At least when I was out there. I mean, I'm sure those restaurants are still there. Like, I remember seeing a few of them, but I get those a lot out here at PNW, so I'm just like, I'll also go try out some of the other stuff. Try out the steakhouse, try out this little cafe, this little local Iceland diner or some shit. Which that shit was pretty good. They also had like their own version of Americana food there. A place called like Chuck Norris Bar and Grill, and I was just like, dude, this is awesome. But instead of pickles, they give you just regular cucumbers. They don't pickle their cucumbers over there. They pickle their onions, which pickle onions are really good. Then they caramelize those bad boys up a little bit. Oh my god, like, that's surprisingly legit, actually really good. Because at least the burger I had, they had a caramelized pickled onion on there, and that was actually pretty fucking fire. Can't do it anymore. Can't do no more. Can't do that shit no more. Sukov, you already had the fly. I don't think there's another one around here. Oh, wait, no, there is. Oh, shit. That one's a lot more faster. Might have your work cut out for that one, dude. Sukov's like a fucking ninja when it comes to, like, taking out flies, dude. He's like like a Flak 88 cannon, dude. Fucking just, like, see something in the air, it's like, boom. Launches and just murks that bitch. What I love is that, like, he does get it. Like, he somehow will snip at it where it falls. And I'll see the fly fall on the ground, and he just snips it and, like, just grabs it and just eats it right then and there. It's like, damn. Zukov is like a little fucking anti-aircraft cannon over here, taking out flies left and right. It's actually kind of surprising. Here, give you a little tweet for being a good boy. Up, sit. Yeah, there. Come over here. Come here. Come here. Come on. Over here. Come on. Oh my god, you're a Fruit Loop. Here, smell it. Yes. Come here. Come over here. Over here. You know what? Fuck you. You suck. You evidently didn't want to move, so I had to just throw it at you, dude. That's what you get. You just get treats chucked at you. They stared at me, just nomming it down. It's like I shall look at you and eat this with pride. What a silly little dog, dude. Yeah, what's going on with Tupia? Anything on Shake the Talk for Kia? Yeah, there we go. Let's see. Elon Musk and a journalist go to war. Oh my god. Is fucking Elon trying to sue a journalist or something? Again. And try to silence a journalist again. It's not the first time he's done this. Oh my god. Dude, it's what a fucking little leech bag of a shit fuck goblin. Like, I mean, honestly, if there's like anyone that looks more like of an android lizard creature of like the intergalactic like empire or some shit, besides like Mark Zuckerberg, it's Elon Musk. Like, both of those dudes look like they're fucking like lizard android cyborgs that were sent here to slowly conquer and satellite Earth, you know, for the intergalactic empire or something, dude. The intergalactic Milky Way empire, dude. It's just like, fuck. I mean, it's God, it's just like, what a fucking cretinous little goon.
So this is a story that blew up the other day. Elon Musk and journalist Ian Bremmer were really going at it on Twitter over a disagreement around a story that Bremmer had released. So,
what's this?
Here's the gist of what happened. This guy, Ian Bremmer, released an article, I believe originally in Vice, where he claims Elon Musk spoke directly to Vladimir Putin right before he released that potential peace proposal on Twitter. Remember, he polled everybody, what do you think about this for a potential peace deal? Bremmer says Musk talked directly to Putin before he did that. Elon Musk sees that, and he comes out and says, no, somebody asked him, hey, is this true? He says, no, it is not. I have spoken to Putin only once, and that was about 18 months ago. The subject matter was space. So Ian Bremmer, Elon Musk told me he had spoken with Putin and the Kremlin directly about Ukraine. He also told me what the Kremlin's red lines were. I've been writing my weekly newsletter on geopolitics for 24 years. I write honestly, without fear or favor, and this week's update was no different. So he's doubling down and saying, no, this is exactly what happened.
So Elon Musk is lying, basically.
Again, replies directly to Ian Bremmer and says, nobody should trust Bremmer. So...
wow, just because, oh, he's saying something that, you know, I don't like because it doesn't go with what I actually said because I'm lying. Don't trust him. Have nothing to say to it and nothing to back it up with or anything. Just like, nah, just don't trust him. Sounds like a snake. Bleh. Well, yeah, I definitely know who's worth the trust in this one. 100%.
One of them has to be lying.
Yeah, Elon.
There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. One of them has to be lying.
Elon's lying. It's kind of obvious.
Be right. So, who's lying? I don't know. Look, I'm a critic of Elon Musk, so maybe in a sense my own bias is to say I probably trust Bremmer over Musk, but I'm basing that off nothing other than my own bias, right? Like, I don't know anything about this guy, Ian Bremmer. Maybe if I learn more about him, I'd dislike him even more than I dislike Elon, right? So I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. But do you guys remember the thing that Musk said, which got him in trouble on Twitter, got him into a lot of hot water? So he said the following. He did a Twitter poll and said, what do you guys think of this peace proposal? Redo elections of annexed regions under UN supervision. Russia leaves if that is the will of the people. Crimea formally becomes a part of Russia, as it has been since 1783, until Khrushchev's mistake. Water supply to Crimea assured. Ukraine remains neutral, as in, you know, not a part of NATO, not aligned with the West, etc. So he,
Well, I mean, honestly, like, that's, like, I mean, as for a peace proposal, that seems fine. Like, you know, just like a sure water supply Crimea, okay. Ukraine stays neutral, Crimea, you know, formally stays annexed within Russia, redo the elections under UN supervision into the annexed regions, recently annexed regions, like in the Donetsk, Luhansk, and shit like that. And, you know, under the UN supervision, if the will of people is like, yep, we, you know, wish to have Russia stay here, then so be it. If not, then nope. You know, so it's just like, I mean, that seems like a fair proposal in my mind. But at this point, I doubt that would ever happen.
59% of people said no, 41% said yes to that. Over 2.7 million votes on that Twitter poll.
So more people said no. I mean, for me, it seems fair. I mean, it's not the best proposal, I'd say, but it seems at least fair. Not like bad or good, but, you know, it's somewhere in the middle. Probably a little bit on the better side of the middle, so that's why I say fair. You know, like, not good, not bad, not totally in the middle, but, you know, a little bit in between the middle and good.
A little confused, like, why, like, what do you do, why are you doing this? Like, what is prompting this? And at least according to Bremmer, what's prompting that is a literal conversation with Putin.
And honestly, like, that makes sense, and I think that is true, that he did have that, which is why I think Elon's lying, because, like, why would he do that, you know, just out of the sake for clout? I mean, I suppose, but, like, I mean, the dude is an international business fuck. Like, I mean, he's gonna talk of world leaders and shit, and he's, for the most part, essentially utterly detached, you know, to the whole Ukraine shit. So, you know, like, he's gonna be able to talk with Putin or have a convo with him if he wants. So, why wouldn't he, you know? Especially if he, you know, decides to do something like this. He, you know, most definitely, either before or after, had a convo with Putin, probably. Like, probably before, but chances maybe even afterwards, too. You know, where it's just like, hey, well, you know, what do you think about that, you know, thing I said on Twitter, you know? It's like, would a proposal like that be okay? And, you know, some back and forth definitely happened. Like, Elon's most certainly being a lying little fucking snake in the grass as he usually is.
In his own mind, might think.
Because, I mean, anyone that trusts a billionaire is someone I just immediately, judge their fucking, like intuition and shit. Because, like, you trust a billionaire? Seriously? Why would you trust someone like that?
Yeah, let me run with that. But, of course, the Ukraine...
It's like the last thing you do.
Kindly to this. Zelensky came out and went after Musk a little bit and said, did his own Twitter poll, which Elon Musk do you like better? And it was like Elon who supports Ukraine or Elon who supports Russia. He did that poll. There was one...
Oh my god. See, that's why I don't take the fucking Ukrainian government seriously, because you have, like, just a, nationalist just like, oh, yes. It's like, let me just have, like, more clout now, and, because I'm essentially the leader of the country that's at war that everybody supports now. And, like, at this point, like, he's all after his own fucking clout. Like, I mean, he was this, comedian, celebrity dancer type or some shit, before, and now he's just being a celebrity being this now at this point. Like, I mean, at this rate, like, he himself is his own little personal celebrity and shit, and he knows it.
Ambassador who said, like, fuck off is my nicest response to you, something to that effect. And there were some elements of the Russian government came out and praised Elon and said, oh, that's a good start. That's a good start. Let's start there. So I already did my whole commentary on what I think of his tweet. I think some of the things are a little naive, like the idea that you just redo the election with UN supervision, as if, like, in an active war zone at the barrel of a gun, even with so-called peacekeepers there, that you're going to get, like, a fair representation. And also the fact that if Russia invaded and occupied certain regions, you're going to have the pro-Ukrainian people in that area flee and try to save their lives, and so you can't, like, invade a place, everybody who's native to there flees, and then you take a vote where it's only the people remaining who are already on your side, and you know that, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, to be fair, that is a very naive point, at least with the redo election part, because you would have to essentially wait for people to, like, return, or maybe, like, find out where, the residents of those places who are Ukrainian, who fled, where they're at, and then mail in the ballots to them. I mean, I could see a way to where an election could be done where you can mail ballots, to the people that had residence there before the war. So, I mean, I like, it's definitely a fair criticism about, the first point, which why I'd say, I think, this proposal that Elon did is at least fair, not good nor bad. I mean, it needs to work, I think, especially with that redo election thing. Like, that's honestly the biggest thing. Like, how, can you really achieve that? I mean, there's a way to do it logistically, but it will also be a fucking nightmare. So, I mean, it would honestly take quite some time, for results, to come in for something like that. So, I mean, like, something like that would just be fucking difficult as fuck to even, like, fully quantify, unless, you had people come back. I mean, with something like that, though, I mean, I guess it's kind of like a good luck, have fun type of thing,
And work. But at the same time, I'm also sort of, I think the overreaction to what Musk said was also a little silly, because, anytime anybody brings up negotiation or diplomacy, it's like immediately slapped down as naive and stupid and dumb and appeasement, and it's like...
Yeah, honestly. Like, basically, this is why, I'm not a avid supporter. Like, I mean, we've talked about it recently, but this is why I'm not an avid supporter of the, Ukraine war anymore at this rate, or really not that much at all, outside of, like, the defense of the Ukrainian people and their sovereignty, and obviously, but when it comes to, like, the government side of all this shit, when it comes to the Russian, Ukrainian, the NATO governments, and so on and so forth, when it comes to the governmental aspect of all this shit, I don't support it anymore, or at all, when it came to that, outside of maybe, like, the first, like, one or two, or at most, really, like, three, different packages of weapons aids and shit like that, to give to Ukraine. And having volunteers go to Ukraine too is, I see as fine as well. If people want to personally partake, volunteer their own life and time, to go out there and help fight Ukraine shit, then by all means have at it, Haas, you know what I mean? So, like there's elements of, like, intervention or participation I'm not even inherently against when it comes to helping Ukraine, but, like, at this point, Like, they're, like, it's like, NATO and the West is basically more than just, like, modernize their military at this point, you know, like, to where they can most certainly hold on their own. Like, they, you know, it's like there's, you know, outside of just, like, maybe ammo packages occasionally and shit, which even then, like, individual countries have contracts with their weapons or ammo manufacturers, especially, you know, to where most of their shipments are going there anyway. So it's just like, I mean, Ukraine's set at this point. Like, they, I mean, the continuous, endless, like, package deals and shit like that are just constantly being given forth. It's a little fucking ridiculous outside of just, like, how do we continue to exacerbate this war and just, like, minimize any opportunity for peace? You know, because, you know, Putin is most certainly, obviously, guilty of doing that because he don't give a fuck. And West doesn't really helping either by just, you know, doing continuous, you know, weapon packages and just continually sending weapons and ammo endlessly and just, like, you know, indirectly intervening in it and shit. It's just like, I mean, especially at this rate, when pressuring for peace, especially considering Ukraine still said they've been doing counteroffensives for a while now, you know, like in taking back a significant amount of territory in various different parts in Ukraine and shit. It's just like, and also considering that a nuclear power plant in Zaporizhia is fucking like a front line, you know, there's like a lot of things, you know, that I think, you know, kind of imply like a pressure for peace instead of just continuing exacerbating with weapons and shit. It's like, because at this rate, Ukraine's kind of set with the weapon shit. Like they've gotten like everything fucking like gifted to them at this point.
So, what if we don't do negotiation or diplomacy? And let's be kind to them and say it doesn't devolve into World War III. So what if we just have a prolonged battle, prolonged war that lasts, let's say, 8 more years? And the death toll rises by 159,000 people. At that point, can we revisit the conversation and say, all right, now are people ready for negotiation and diplomacy?
Let's just hope it ain't 8 years.
After 8 years of fighting and death and stalemate, and at that point, would it be okay to bring it up without immediately being tarnished and, you know, called stupid and told you're in favor of appeasement? So the overreaction was also annoying to me because, you know, everybody should want peace. The question is, how do you get there? But I admit to you that that's the paradox because there are no good answers. This is my go-to rant when talking about Ukraine and Russia. Because if you do a peace deal, and let's say it's roughly along the terms that Musk came out with here, just for argument's sake. Well, you just incentivize any larger, more powerful country to invade its smaller, weaker neighbor and then demand new terms, and then that's the precedent now, so you...
That's always been the precedent, though. Like, nations and superpowers and empires have always done that, though. Like, I mean, Putin is just basically doing what old-school empires have always done. I mean, there isn't really that much of a new precedent. It's just that it hasn't happened in, I mean, really since World War II, at least on such a significant level like this. You know, so, I mean, with that, I mean, obviously, you know, comes, you know, more modern, different reactions and shit, but nonetheless, I mean, there isn't really nothing new with this shit. I mean, empires and nations have always done this. I mean, just it was far more easier to do it back then, especially considering how news traveled. And, you know, when it came to a superpower back then, it was just that much easier to just look at a far more weaker neighbor or a smaller state and just, whoop, let's gobble it.
General global instability, because any big country could do that to any smaller country, and they could demand concessions, and even if they get 25%, 35% of what they want, they still just... It was a net good thing for them in their own minds to do the invasion, to commit the war crime. Is that the precedent we want to set? That, like, yeah, if you're more powerful, just invade a smaller country, and then you'll get some of what you want. You'll get some percentage of the country. That's a terrible precedent to set.
Yeah.
Terrible precedent to set. But then on the flip side, if you don't do some sort of a peace deal at some point, along some reasonable lines, well... We know what the worst case scenario is. The worst case scenario is nuclear war, right?
Or at least the use of nukes. I don't think it'd literally go to a full-on, like, nuclear war, like, global type of shit. It would be more like tactical use of these things.
You know, in that instance is what I described before, which is prolonged conventional warfare where hundreds of thousands of people die. And that's also an unimaginably terrible thing, right? So
No shit.
there really are no good answers. There are no good answers. But anyway, who do you believe? I'm curious who you guys believe. Do you believe Elon Musk? Do you
Fuck no.
believe Ian Bremmer? Do you?
Well, at least I mean, I don't know anything about that journalist guy, but I most certainly believe him a lot more than anything. But I'm not surprised this stupid fucking spat is happening. So, man, there's a lot of weird, interesting comments being made. Elon called Crimea belonging to Ukraine Khrushchev's mistake, which really sounds like he took it directly from a Russian source. It would be really weird for a Westerner to call that by himself. That is some loaded fucking language right there. Oh my god. Jesus. Oof. That comment just struck me as some yikes right there. So yikes-ronies. Like, what? Yeah. Whew. I think I gotta grab myself some lunch and all that, but before I do, get this bowl loaded up, I think I'll probably take my little puppa for a walk. I'm gonna go wander around and stuff. See what it's like outside right now. All that fun shit. Cause he's just a sweet little boy. He needs a little bit of sunshine. Because he's just a little sweet ball of sunshine and adorableness. I mean, kind of, though, actually. Because, like, while it is good to have the sun, and it's very vital, if you get too close to it, burns. Burns good. It ain't, I mean, but the end result is not good. It's like Icarus with that little fluff. Because he could be a little damn menace, but also the most sweetest little thing. And he locked himself in a fucking lunchroom again. I mean, he has for a while, but I'm not fucking surprised. Sukov, you're a goofball. I know I can hear you. Oh, I know you can hear me. Goof. Alright, change this on. I'll be probably back later tonight, so peace out for now. Of course.